Greetings to all of you. My names are Luke Mbom. Today we are going to discuss the second unit of Management Information Systems course, talking about information systems architecture. This unit, at the end of this unit, a student should be able to understand what computer files are, what databases are, and the various concepts of databases, including the data processing modes, and also understand the information concepts where you are expected to discuss what information is and also the various types of information. Our lesson 1 that we are going to start with talks about computer files and file structures. That is lesson 1, computer files. Take note of the word computer files. We're not just looking at any files. Computer files and file structures. So the objectives of this lesson is to enable the student to understand what a computer file is, the elements of a computer file, or what makes up a computer file, the types of computer files, the file organization methods, and the problems associated with the traditional file environment that led to the introduction of databases. So let's start by defining a computer file. In the real world scenario, we use files. In high school or in college, students use Spring files or box files. What do these files store? You file your foolscapes, you put your documents in those files. Now the documents are the ones you can be referring to as records. So a computer file refers to a collection of related records stored in a storage medium. That is what a computer file is, a collection of related records that store information, and it is stored in a storage medium. Now, why do we say related records? We cannot have a file for students, and we're also storing records for patients in that particular file. Now, let us look at the elements or the elements that make up a computer file. A computer file is made up of a number of elements. 4 of them in this hierarchy, that is field, that is character, stroke byte, and that the lowest element is the bit. So the 4 elements, we describe them one at a time. Let's start by talking about what a bit is. The bit is the smallest storable element in a computer file. The smallest storable element in a computer file is called the bit. The bit is usually either a 0 or a 1. That is what we are calling the bit. The bit is a 0 or a 1. If you look at the byte or the character, a character is a collection of bits. A character is a collection of bits. And according to the ASCII character code, ASCII stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. As per the ASCII character code, a character is made up of 8 bits. And remember, characters, by the word character, we are referring to alphabets, numerals, and symbols. So a character like A will be made up of 8 bits. A character is made up of 8 bits. Now, a field is a collection of characters. Like in the student's record, we could have a number of fields. A field is a collection of characters. If I have this to be the student card record, and I will have a number of fields like student number field. A field is made up of a number of the student name, the date of birth, and the ID. A field is made up of, and like we look at this student, this could be NAC 015016, and that student could be called James Kyoko. Now, if you look at that, this tells us about the field name, and those are the characters that make up the particular field. Now, you could find the date of birth of the student and the student's ID number. Now, there is something else that we can capture on fields. Fields that do not have the same space reserved for their characters are referred to as table length fields, and fields that have the same space reserved for their characters are referred to as fixed length fields. So a field is a collection of characters. What about a record? If you look at this diagram, this student card is our record. A record is made up of many fields, and these ones we can collectively refer to them as the fields. A record is made up of many fields, and a file is made up of many records. Like in this case, if I talk about the student file, it will have so many student card records. Now that describes the elements of a computer file. Then we look at the characteristics of a computer file. What can we refer to as the characteristics of a computer file? A number of characteristics of a computer file exist. The most basic one is the size of the file. That is the most basic characteristic of a computer file. Size of the file. How large or how small is the file? Whenever we are talking about files, we can click the name of the file, then we can click properties. We click the name of the file, then we click properties, and that will give us the size of the file, which is normally measured in megabytes or in kilobytes. The other characteristic of the file is growth. What does this mean? Computer files usually increase in size. Today I have a file which we're calling the student CV file. Now today that file could be around 700. But as you continue to learn or to go to class and do more courses, let's say you pass your level 4 and you update your CV. When you update your CV, the record could now be 800 kilobytes. This file in size. The growth talks about the increase in the size of the file. Now another characteristic of computer files is what we are calling the hit rate. Hit rate. The hit rate talks about the ratio, the activity rate of the file. We call it the activity rate of the file. It is a ratio. The ratio of records accessed to the total number of records expressed as a percentage is what we are calling the hit rate. If I have, I'll repeat that. The ratio of the number of records accessed to the total number of records in a file is what we call the hit rate. If I am accessing 100 records and my file has 1,000 records, so my hit rate will be 100 over 1,000 times that, which is 10%. That is the hit rate. It is the activity rate of the file. The other characteristic of a file is what we are calling volatility. The frequency over which records in a file are accessed. That is what we are calling volatility.